Hello everyone. Tonight I'm going to be trying something interesting to go along with my first ASMR videos. So what I have with me actually is some of the supplies that I got from a calligraphy supply company for Arabic actually, for learning to, and I guess just beginning to do Arabic calligraphy. So what this is actually the ink jar. And one of the things that came with this set that I got, this little ink dropper. So one of the ways Arabic calligraphy works, one of the things that they have for them is in order to carefully distribute how much ink is placed on the calligraphy pens, they use this stuff inside called liquor. I might not be saying it right. Liquor. Inside of this jar, excuse me, is some raw silk, and that silk has pretty much been taken from the cocoon, unraveled, boiled to take all the little gumminess off, and then that has been, I guess, dried and sent over to the calligraphy supply place, where they separate it into little neat groups and ship it out to those who buy it. So what that does is that silk stays inside of here, this little inkwell, and when I drop the ink in, it helps prevent the ink from pulling up into big puddles or being, a huge well and then getting in the way by putting too much ink on the pens when I start to write. So, I guess I can set that here for now, or even. And then this ink dropper is just like anything else. I wish I had a better microphone. This probably doesn't sound like as cool as it sounds to me. At least it looks cool. Using an ink dropper is a good tool because, well, once I get more experienced, I'll know exactly how much you need, but for now, you can just put little bits in at a time until you know that it's the right consistency for your work. If I had known that I would take such pleasure in doing this sort of thing, and spending the time to put out the characters and make them look so nice, or try and make them look nice like they do in all the other artwork, I probably would have tried doing something like this in college, but I never had, so I never tried it. And it looks like the name of the supplier here of the ink, I think it's just some sort of generic supplier actually, I'm not quite sure. It says Belati. And if you see all these little squares, again, I don't know much, but I know that in a lot of the beginning books that I've seen, that I can't read of course, I've seen these little marks, and I think they just help measure the proportionate size of the character in relation to the nib size, the width of the nib. So what they do is they have that grid there. I don't know if you can see it, and they put those little squares down so that you know the length to come out, length to go to the side and up, length to the width here, I guess, of the character, as well as even how far down to go, how much space to leave between it and the next character. One step. Let me go and cap this up so it doesn't start drying. These are the actual pens I got. I don't know if this is the kind of sounds you guys like to hear, but I do find the sound relaxing, at least a little bit. Now, the black edge of the pens is actually Java read. It's really tough read. And when they make it, they have to use a very sharp knife to cut through. But it's said that these tips last a lot longer than any of the other kinds of tips commonly used in Arabic calligraphy because they're so hard. There was a man on that website, I can't remember his name, but apparently he had written an entire copy of the Quran just from one cut of the nib. So imagine writing an entire book with one of these pieces of wood and only having to cut it the first time. It's almost like having future technology. You know how we have pens and we can write pages and pages, but I don't even know if a ballpoint pen, well, I mean, I guess that's a different matter, ink and all that. Hopefully the pen wouldn't wear down. That would be sad for whatever companies make pens. So pretty much take this pen, you dip it in, and the liquor, I don't know if you can see it, helps moderate how much actually ends up on the pen. You can see this is the liquor right here. I probably shouldn't pull it out like I was just doing. It's so fun to play with though. Hopefully the microphone picks this sort of thing up, otherwise this whole video would be kind of pointless. Can't remember how I was supposed to. There we go. It's a much nicer line. Well, unfortunately, I had no idea why. I hope one day I'll get the chance to actually get a teacher to teach me how to do all this stuff. But for now, I just have to kind of test it on my own and see what I can do. I saw some really nice calligraphy online once and I tried to copy it out with a pencil. It's very difficult. Not easily done. Let's see, why did it write so nicely there? It's as if you need to write exactly. No. I don't know. I've never liked this big nib. I feel like I can't decide what's happening with it. I made kind of nice markings with it before, but really these squares are what's really good for making. Makes them perfectly. But as you can see, making anything else is pretty difficult. Oh, it's a nice star. Kind of nice. You know what also gets me is this this paper is slanted to the right for Western writing, you know, that kind of calligraphy. I think Arabic might slant the other direction, just because it does write from right to left. Maybe I'm wrong, though. Oh, I should stop talking about things I don't know anything about, huh? Sam had some real trouble there. One day I was making him really nicely, but I don't remember what I did. I think I held it like this. Let's try a different pen. I think I remember having better luck with those. Just gotta get a cloth here and clean this thing off. Cleaning the pens is actually really important to prevent buildup of the ink on the nib. One of my friends pointed out to me on this very back portion, you can see a little groove there. And he said that might be a well. And I thought, normally on my other pens, that is a well. It's exactly what a well is supposed to look like, but I'm wondering if in Arabic calligraphy, with the lika, if it's really supposed to be almost, a one character per dip kind of thing. Genuinely curious. I've never really tried soaking it up to there and then trying to write. I feel like it would be too saturated with ink. Let's try this medium-sized nib and see in comparison it should be quite a bit smaller. Oh wait, I guess I've got one closer to the camera. There they are, side by side. Yeah, it's pretty small. Maybe if I turn this sideways, I'll have a better time. I won't be thrown off by that strange slant. Oh, that's much nicer. There you go, a nice little new one. And if I try and add something, I can actually make whatever. Oh, geez. One of the terrible parts of being left-handed is just you can't put your hand anywhere without probably smudging up whatever you put down. I wonder if any of you guys have ever see, I've already messed up my aleph. Try again. Too much ink again. Ana, right here, is composed of a few letters. Oh, I guess Aleph, another Nun right here, and it's connected to another Aleph. And it's read from right to left. So, A, N, Na. And that means I. Oh, this thing can still write? What the heck? Where's that ink even coming from? So these are some of the mysteries of the pen that I still don't fully understand what made that ink come to the bottom when it just finished writing for me. I need to try writing like this on my other bit of time. Upside down. To be named. This is a fun letter to write, but it's really hard as well. Is me. And I guess in Arabic one it would be that awesome sound. And of course, there's a ton of ink left on this, but none of it's going to come out. So I dip again. Nah. End with a hopefully nice note. Ismi. Natha. Oh my. It's backwards to you guys. It's reversed. That's no good. I guess you'll have to put this video up to a mirror in order to understand what I really wrote there. Ismi. I do enjoy doing this kind of work. I think it's pretty relaxing. I can see why a lot of people would take the time to pursue something. And that's my phone. Interrupting what was pretty relaxing. I'll be right back. Oh. Shout out to Samsung for being so on top of life. Another really pretty, I think, Arabic letter is Jim. And that kind of looks like, if I can do it well. they get it to stop running out right at that exact point. Oh, that's a really bad gem. I'm not going to show it to you. It's too ugly. This is also a really ugly gem. Just can't do it. Fixing letters is normally impossible, but for whatever reason, this one time I was successful. There you go. Gene. Backwards, of course. But it's a nice letter, don't you think? Some of the ones that are nice, solid. Starts with a line. Builds up. Down. And I guess normally it looks more like that line. This. No, no good. I guess I should start. How should I do this? I need to come up with a new strategy for making these circular things because my wrist gets in the way when I come down. There you go. That's a pretty nice solid. This guy right here. It's kind of interesting. It just looks like a bunch of squiggles, huh? I'm actually quite pleased with how a lot of these are turning out. I was expecting this to go a lot worse. And if you put a little thing right here, I think it's a dot. Can't quite remember. There's also this little guy here. Is it back in there? It's down. Nicely around. That's too ugly. A reverse calf, calf. It's another letter that sounds really similar to that one, and it's almost impossible for some of us to tell the two apart, but it's still there. And that sort of looks like that, with two little diamonds above it. I is where you'd write these two are. Kaf. And then Kof. Nice, and in reverse for you guys. Kaf and Kof. I don't even know why I bothered. That's nice, huh? Another word. That's really nice. This is called scene. Scene. It just kind of looks like two little squiggles followed by a bigger squiggle. But it's really nice. The interesting thing about the letters is they all have different forms. So, for example, this scene right here is exactly the same one as over here. But because of the difference and the placement of the letter, for example, this is seen all by itself. Up here it's connected to the meme. Because of that, it looks completely different. That last curve right here just becomes an extension of meme. And yeah, oh, that's another one that looks nice. This is yeah, right here. But what it looks like alone. I think it kind of looks like a swan. This right here, reversed, is sort of mildly good version of yeah. And then lastly, one of my favorites to draw. It's for some reason very difficult for me. Just think it's so much. Oh no, that's no good. Can't do that one. Try again. There you go. That's such a nice go, and it only took me 3 seconds to completely ruin it. But, This little guy right here is a hat, and this right here is a cool little a modification that kind of happens to these two letters when they show up one after the other. Lam, Alif, Lam. So when Lam and Alif are placed next to each other, because of the way they connect, it can be a bit confusing to the eyes if you just connect them normally. So what instead happens is you create this little character here called Lam Alif, and I can give you a better version of that, I think. These two characters are both technically the same, but they look different. And that's just part of the script, so that it's easy to tell them apart, and so it's quick and easy to pronounce. This one's reversed. This one's reversed. If I'm not mistaken, they're both Lam Alif, Lam Alif. And it's to avoid the confusion of them looking, well, they would look like if it weren't for these two variations. This is what they would look like. See how boring that is? But it's also somewhat difficult to read once you see it in conjunction with a lot of the other characters out there. So an ingenious, I guess, fix to that was the development of these two guys right here. And I don't know when that happened or how, but it looks very appealing. It's very recognizable, the sound la, especially in words. So depending on the placement, like this is a word on its own, le, it means no. This one right here. This one, however, is more likely to appear inside words as part of words. And it just makes it, again, very easy to recognize and read, such as up here, where you know instantly that's hilal, hilal, not anything else. So yeah. It's just realizing that because it's reversed, I can read these from my left to my right when I look at them in the camera. It's just a funny little thing I guess I thought I'd put out there. now it's time to clean up so I can get back to a little more study. It's kind of like this sound here. So you can see it and put it in the water. That sound probably isn't too appealing, but it's important again to get that ink off so the pen stays good. I've always wondered too if I shouldn't be using this rag to clean it, or if they have some sort of special cloth or silk that they use. It's preferable. After all, the wood is wet, even if it doesn't seem so. Well, thank you all for watching my very first ASMR, I guess, nearly full-length video. Hopefully all the sound and audio turns out as good as I hoped it would, and you guys will enjoy. Thank you.